The Desert Highland Hero, written and illustrated by Lydia Victoria Larson. Once upon a time, in a faraway desert, there lived a kind man called Robbie the Sheriff and his horse Lightning. But there was an evil person called Gigantic Hammer. He was called that because he was big and he had hands like hammers. The giant popped out like he popped out from thin air. The giant wanted a horse, but not just any old horse. He wanted Robbie the Sheriff's horse, and Robbie said, "No, why don't you buy one in the shops?" But there were no shops in the desert. Robbie did not know that the giant wanted his horse Lightning. After a while, the giant got angry and he started to shrink while the sheriff was explaining why he couldn't use his horse. So the giant turned into a spitting cobra and bit Lightning, and he said, "What? Now you will be under my control." And then Robbie flew off Lightning and landed next to a sword. He remembered to bring the sword, and he marched up in anger to the snake, and he spun around and cut the snake into two. And then Robbie put a net on top of the two snakes and put them in the dungeon. Then 2 snakes got up to 10 snakes, and they got out of the dungeon. Robbie knew that the snakes love blood, so Robbie made poison instead of blood. Then he flew up in his helicopter and poured the poison next to the snake. The snakes say, delicious, we like more of this." Then Robbie poured a trail of poison into the hottest part of the desert. And Robbie put a big net, a big cage on top of the snakes. And that was the end of that. They died, and Robbie and Lightning celebrated with a cup of tea. They lived happily ever after. Lydia was 7 years old when she wrote